Welcome back. New here at noon, Oklahoma weather, of course, as we've seen today, can be unpredictable. And one of the many lines of defense is picking the right storm shelter. So joining me this afternoon is Erin Birdsong, the co-owner of Survivor Shelters. It's all part of our Home Pros series. So, you know, it just happens to be a day that we're seeing some storms here.
Unfortunately.
But let's talk a little bit about what you need, what people can expect. So a lot of people think storm shelters are pretty expensive. So let's talk about the cost.
They're really not as expensive as people think. I mean, there's so many different options that you can do in order to get in a shelter. Just, you know, financing options, but just not even thinking about that. The price is so cheap. I mean, it's starting at $2,500 and just kind of goes up from there depending on kind of what size you want, but and that includes installation. It's not expensive at all, but there's so many different financing options. So many banks offer storm shelter loans. It has nothing to do with car loans or home loans, but it's storm shelter loans itself.
And of course, you know, can you really put a price on surviving a storm?
Exactly. It's, you know, my husband's always said it's the cheapest life insurance you can ever get.
All right, so let's talk about what are some misconceptions about storm shelters that you guys get?
So a lot of the misconceptions is the actual installation, that it takes forever, or like we just talked about how it costs so much. But just like you said, there's really no price to put on your life. But you know, there's so many different things that people think that could go wrong with the shelter. But what the biggest thing is to do your research. There are two different things that you need to think about. There's ATSA, which is the American Tornado Shelter Association, and the NSSA, National Storm Shelter Association. If those companies, or if all the companies that you purchase your shelter from, if they're sponsored by those two people, then you're golden.
So are those two things you should look for, or is there anything else you should look for when looking for someone to put in a storm shelter for you?
Yeah, I mean, do your research. I mean, it's the biggest thing. I mean, there's so many people that do build their shelters in their garage, they manufacture them at home, and they just think they're going to save their lives, but it's not. I mean, if they're not, you know, if FEMA doesn't actually they have a standard, and if you don't meet those standards, it's not worth it. Why not? I mean, why waste your money? There's so many times where we've had people come to us and say, well, we purchased a shelter from a company and it's gone wrong. Something's happened. For instance, in Noble, this guy built his shelter, and not him personally, he bought a shelter from a guy that built it in his garage and anchored it with T-post. And he spent his whole life savings on it, and it just tore up his whole yard. We went out there and pulled it up for him and replaced it with a new shelter, and it's just, people just waste their money on it, and it's sad.
Yeah. So if a deal looks too good to be true,
exactly,
of course it probably is. And how can people get in touch with you guys if they want to get a storm shelter from you?
Sure. We have so many different ways. Facebook, 918 Shelter. We also have our website, which is 918 Shelter. Our phone number is actually 918 Shelter.
Wow. So 918 Shelter.
Yes.
If they need to get in touch with you guys, that's how to get in touch.
Yeah, and we have a showroom in Claremore. We're actually, it's big news, we are moving about 8 miles north from where we are now to a much bigger location, so we can offer so much more to our customers. So, but in Claremore, we can just come find us.
All right. Come find them, 918 Shelter.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much. We'll be right back.